Hi guys, it's Naomi, and this is part 2 of our special 2-part gravy series video. And this is my grandpa. My grandpa is helping us learn how to make the perfect gravy today. So I am going to go ahead and give the camera over to him. And before we get started, I do want to show you the perfect gravy. I love gravy so much. I could drink gravy as basically a soup.
Okay.
Honestly, it's a comfort food. I don't like the mashed potatoes so much, but the gravy will do.
That makes yes.
Yes, and our family is very famous for our gravy.
Yes, that's right.
So I asked my grandpa, with Thanksgiving coming, to give us a little tutorial, and he has graciously offered to teach us. And I will give you a couple hints and tips if you have extra allergies or if you have special dietary needs like vegetarianism. So let's go ahead and get started. You ready, Papa?
Okay, ready.
All right. So what do we need first, Papa?
Okay, well, we're going to heat up the pan first, right off the bat, okay? And fairly high.
Fairly high, like
Yeah.
medium high?
We want to get started. Yeah, medium high is good. All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Here we are. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the butter.
Okay. Oh, well, we're making gravy.
Oh,
not
I'm
a roux. Sorry.
Got lost there.
We did a roux just 5 minutes ago, so.
Now we're going to put in the stock.
All right.
Okay, chicken stock, beef stock. In this case, it's for Thanksgiving, so we're going to have turkey stock at this point.
Now, there's only really 2 important ingredients to a good gravy. A good roux, which we just did the video for,
Yes.
and a good stock.
Yes.
All right. Now, what's the secret to a good stock, Papa?
Now, essentially, it should be rich in flavor and consistency. You want to make sure that this does have that taste. If you have a poor stock to begin with, you're going to wind up with a poor sauce or a poor gravy.
Right.
And that's how it's going to be.
And
so
often what do? You roast the bones first?
Yes.
Or cook the meat?
Yes. In the case of the beef, you would roast the bones so that you get that flavor, that cooked flavor. Whereas in when we use chicken stock, usually we just take the raw bones, put them in the pot,
And boil them.
and boil them.
Now, with like a turkey, how would we cook that?
Okay, the turkey, now you want to make sure you have something underneath to keep it off the
Like a rack.
yes, a rack, or in some cases, people find themselves at loose ends, so you can crumple up aluminum foil and put that underneath.
All
And
right.
that will also keep it up.
Okay, okay. And you're going to put down vegetables.
Yes.
What are the magic vegetables you need?
Okay, you need celery,
Celery,
onions,
onion,
and a carrot.
and a carrot.
Yes.
And if you are vegetarian, if you are making a vegetable stock and not a meat stock, you also need to add, for each batch of stock, about 1 pound or 2 of mushrooms,
That's okay.
and the cleaned, scrubbed shavings from 1 or 2 pounds of potatoes.
Right.
Okay, but then you keep going. So what do you do next? You roast them off?
Yes, that's right. You want to make sure that they're fully developed, fully cooked, so that you be careful now. You don't want to have to burn them, but make sure you got them in the just cooked, right?
But cooked so brown it's almost burnt.
That's correct.
Okay, okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to remove those solids. You're going to boil those solids to make your liquid.
Correct.
Okay? And then whether that's your vegetables and your bones, and you're going to scrape all of that brown stuff off
That's
the bottom
correct.
of your pan.
All the drippings, yes.
And you're going to pour your boiled liquid back into the pan.
Scrape
Scrape it and whisk it until it's absorbed all of that color.
Right. I'll bring it to a boil, really, and make sure it's all well mixed.
Okay.
So you have all that flavor together.
And that's really going to give you the flavor of the stock.
Correct.
Now, if you don't have time, you could just boil up some bones and add some gravy master,
That's
right?
correct. Yes,
you want to make
because-
sure it's gluten-free if you're gluten-free. For me, I'm allium-free, so we have to always do it from scratch.
Right.
All right, so this is getting hot. Now, we want to add our roux, which we had in our previous video, to our hot stock. Do you
Right.
have a rule about that?
Yes, so we have to make sure that the roux is cool now,
Okay.
even cold.
A cold roux to a
Because we
hot
want
stock.
cold to hot, yes.
Okay.
We do not want to put hot to hot.
Okay, because if we did that, what would happen?
It would boil up and boil over.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me. It explodes and you get burned,
Okay,
okay?
Yes.
So we have got our roux that we made earlier. It's about the consistency of peanut butter,
I
right?
would say yes.
And about how much roux do you use per quart of stock?
Okay, I would say a couple tablespoons.
Couple tablespoons.
Yes, in this case.
So we're not super precise, but gotta wait for it to boil.
Let it coming up. Here it comes.
All right. So you just kind of plop it in.
Yes.
Now, why don't we have to worry about this getting lumpy?
Because this will smooth out from the heat.
Okay.
Now again, you have a cooked product. You're adding to a cooked product, so it'll blend very nicely.
It'll blend nicely.
Yes.
Now you'll notice we're thickening our gravy before we season it to taste. And the reason for that is that the roux actually will help flavor the gravy. And we want to make sure it's the right consistency before we start messing around with little things like flavor. We want to make sure it's fully cooked. It'll take about a minute per tablespoon to really cook in, right?
Another more, yeah.
About another tablespoon?
Good. Oh, this is nice.
That's
Very
looking
good.
nice.
Yeah, looking good.
What we're looking for, you can make it as thick as you want.
Yes.
Some people like a really thick gravy, or you can make it thin. My husband likes it where it's almost still just stock. But what you generally want to look for is for it to coat the back of a spoon when you pour it, and you kind of want to look for it to create a little bit of patterning when you're whisking,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Okay, and what's the difference between a roux and a gravy and, let's say, a cornstarch? Why is this better?
Oh, this is better because, once again, this is cooked to cook. Okay, the cooked product to a cooked product. Whereas if you use a cornstarch, you're still dealing with a raw product, or a whitewash, which is flour and water. And then again, you're going to have to cook it for at least 45 minutes to get the buds to cook out, and so you can have a decent taste. Otherwise, you will taste the flour.
All right, now I'm going to show you what this looks like. Hopefully you can
There you
see. All right, so it's only taken us a minute or so. Can you see how this coats the back of my spoon?
Nice, very nice.
Okay, that's about the perfect consistency. It will thicken a little bit more as you serve it, because it'll cool down. Okay, but now is the time we're going to taste it.
Okay.
Yummy. You want to taste it?
I don't mind if I do.
Now this will automatically have more flavor because we've used fat as a carrying agent, and you won't have to worry about lumps because the roux melts into the sauce perfectly smoothly. I'm going to show you my 4 tips for perfect gravy.
Okay.
So you've started with a good base. You have a good stock and you have a roux. Okay. So you already have a good sauce, but maybe it's not to your flavor. It's not salty enough. Okay. It's a little flat. I'm going to show you how to fix that, okay? Sorry, had to scratch my nose. Okay, now you notice we've done this after we've thickened our gravy, all right? At each of these steps, you want to wait a minute, put it back on low heat, let it cook in for a good minute before you make a decision. A lot of times what people do is they adjust their seasoning rapidly, and then as it sits and develops, it goes way off, okay? So the first problem most people experience is they didn't have enough caramelized vegetables. They didn't have enough sweetness in their gravy. Okay. And it comes across as a little bit tingy, little metallic, right? Or a little salty.
Yes.
So my trick is that we use just a tidge of sugar. You can use any sweetener you want. You could use a little bit of artificial if you really wanted to, but just a tidge. We're talking a sprinkle for about a quart of stock.
Right.
Okay. We're just bringing it up. You would whisk it. You'd taste it again. You'd whisk, put a little bit more in. Another minute. Whisk it, taste it until it came up.
Right.
Now let's say your stock was too sweet or too, like this is very much if you're too acidic or too flat. Okay. But let's say your stock was just a little bit flat. It didn't taste right. You didn't put enough salt in when you were cooking off your stock. Okay. Okay. Once again, you would use just a little bit of salt. Okay, any kind of salt will do. You're going to put just a sprinkle and taste it. Now, if you are used to commercial gravy, I'm going to warn you, you're probably going to want to use up to a teaspoon of salt in a quart of gravy.
That's correct.
That's what most people are used to, is a salty gravy.
Yes.
But I would back it off, and I would add at most a quarter teaspoon at a time to a quart of gravy until you get what you like. Now, let's say that you're your gravy tastes really flat. Okay, a little bit of salt didn't do it, a little bit of sugar didn't do it. It just is lacking oomph. It probably needs a little acidity.
Okay.
It means when you're making your stock, you didn't use wine or lemon juice or vinegar to pull out the flavor from the bones.
Very good.
So what I use, most of the time, what I use is vinegar.
Okay.
But you can also use wine, you can also use lemon juice. Okay, each flavoring agent will bring its own flavor to what you're making. Okay? And you are going to put literally a drop at a time.
Very good.
Okay? 1 or 2 drops per quart will usually bring up the flavor. If you do more, you're going to get pickle juice, okay? And then the last thing that people usually are missing, well, there's 2 more things. I lied. There's 2 things. Bitterness. I know it sounds weird, but there is a little bit of an herbal flavor that a good gravy has. And Grandpa's trick is to add what?
Chopped parsley.
Chopped parsley.
Chopped fine.
Chopped
very
fine. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Grandpa says to me this does not leave any streaks or speckles in the gravy. I've never done this before. I usually put my parsley in when I'm making the stock. So that's a new one to me. But it will add an herbal flavor, which is what you associate with bitterness. And the last thing people are missing is meatiness. You didn't cook your bones long enough,
Right.
or you didn't put enough mushrooms in your vegetable stock. You can use liquid aminos or soy sauce, just 1 or 2 drops.
That's right.
Some people use a little fish sauce, just 1 or 2 drops. And my grandmother uses a drop of ketchup, okay? Because tomato product, like tomato paste or ketchup, contain amino acids that will bring up the flavor of the gravy. And actually, I like her way best, just a drop of ketchup, and it brings something indescribable to the gravy. That's usually when we get the most compliments, is the drop of ketchup. All right. Well, that's it. I don't know what to tell you. Gravy is pretty easy. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments section. We usually answer them for about a week or so afterwards. And if you liked our video and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And don't forget, I love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.